Colossal didn't bring back the dire wolf. They brought back a curated facsimile engineered in fragments, edited in silence, and born from the womb of a domestic dog. What they call resurrection is really just replication with marketing. The world's first de-extinct animal, they say. A triumph of conservation, they say. But where's the proof? Where's the data? Where's the wolf? Because what they've actually created is a synthetic proxy made to look like an Ice Age predator. Just enough to fool the press, just enough to sell the spectacle, and just enough to bury the truth in fur and fantasy. It started with bones. According to Colossal, the dire wolf genome was pieced together using fragments from two ancient specimens, a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull. But ancient DNA doesn't come out clean, it comes out shattered, decayed, riddled with gaps. What Colossal actually built was a reconstructed genome, a heavily modeled, digitally reassembled approximation of what a dire wolf's DNA might have looked like. Wherever fossil data was missing, the team assumed the dire wolf genome resembled a gray wolf's. Then they made a list, about 20 genes long, controlling coat color, jaw size, vocalizations, muscle density, just 20, that's all. Not a full resurrection, not a rebuilt genome, just 20 surgical edits. No actual ancient DNA was inserted, just CRISPR rewrites. Even the mitochondrial DNA, the maternally inherited power plant of every cell, comes from a modern gray wolf or domestic dog. No amount of editing changes that. Here's how it happened. Colossal harvested blood from gray wolves, isolated endothelial progenitor cells, and edited them using CRISPR to match their dire wolf variant list. Then they cloned those cells using somatic cell nuclear transfer, standard cloning tech going back to Dolly the sheep. Embryos were implanted into domestic dogs, not wolves. Because wolves are hard to manage, and this isn't nature, it's biotech under glass. Romulus and Remus were born in fall 2024. Khaleesi came later. 45 embryos were created, 3 survived. That's a success rate of 6.6%. This isn't resurrection, it's biotech roulette. And then came the campaign. Time Magazine, Reuters, a flurry of major outlets repeating Colossal's line, the dire wolf is back. But here's what they left out. There's no peer-reviewed paper, no full genome, no third-party verification. Colossal has yet to deposit a full genome into any open database like the National Center for Biotechnology Information's GenBank. For a company that claims it decoded extinction, its silence is doing all the talking. These aren't dire wolves, they're gray wolves with 20 tweaks. The public got photos and sound bites. The scientists, still waiting. So what are these animals really? They're not extinct predators, they're not clones, they're not even genetically distinct. They're proxies, lab-born hybrids built for virality, not viability. And Colossal knows it. They've started calling them functional copies. That's the new marketing line. Don't judge them by the genome, judge them by the role they're engineered to play. It's a quiet reframing designed to move the goalposts without anyone noticing. Beth Shapiro, Colossal's chief science officer, says if it looks like the species, acts like the species, and fills its ecological niche, that's good enough, but it's not. It's bait and switch science. These pups aren't wild. They were raised in labs, delivered by C-section, bottle-fed, and housed in a high-security wildlife facility. They're being called dire wolves because dire wolf trends better than genetically edited gray wolf. Their white coats and names, Romulus, Remus, Khaleesi, weren't chosen for taxonomy. They were chosen for storytelling, for memes, for headlines, for emotional manipulation. Because Colossal didn't need to build a dire wolf, they just needed to build something close enough to make you believe. And while the world stares into the snowy eyes of a genetically curated mascot, the real story walks right past them. Colossal is laying the groundwork to patent, privatize, and control the creation of synthetic life. The resurrection was never the point. the illusion of resurrection was. What they built wasn't a species, it was a prototype, a teaser for a biotech future run by companies who own the genes, the surrogates, and the headlines. This is just the beta test, and in the next article, we'll follow the paper trail, the intellectual property empire being quietly built behind this so-called miracle. Because Romulus and Remus were never the product, control was. And now that they've opened the door, ask yourself this: who gets to close it?